All right. Looks like someone is heading to White Sands National Park.
Oh, lucky them.
I'm already jealous. Wow, you've really gone all out with the research.
Sounds like they're serious about this trip.
Yeah, YouTube videos, the park website, even a New Mexico tourism guide.
Color me impressed.
So let's dive into all this info and unearth those gotta-know nuggets.
Yeah.
The stuff that will make a trip to White Sands truly unforgettable. Ready to deep dive.
Let's do it.
First off, for anyone who hasn't been following along, where exactly is White Sands National Park?
White Sands National Park is nestled in New Mexico's Tularosa Basin.
Okay, so New Mexico.
It's a sprawling 275 square miles of, well, you guessed it,
White sand.
white sand.
So it wasn't always a national park, right? I remember reading something about that.
That's right, it got a major upgrade
Okay.
from a national monument to a national park in 2019.
And it's more than just like a fancy new title, right?
Right, it's like moving up from the minor leagues to the World Series.
Okay, so what does that mean for the park and for visitors? Like, well, me, if I were to go.
Well, national park status often brings in more funding.
Oh, okay.
Think serious money for conservation projects, protecting those incredible dunes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and enhancing those visitor facilities.
So more resources to preserve this natural wonder.
It's a big win for the ecosystem and for anyone lucky enough to experience it firsthand.
But there's gotta be a catch, right?
You're right, there can be some trade-offs.
Okay.
With that elevated status comes a greater need for management.
Oh, I see.
Think stricter rules about where you can go, what you can do, maybe even limited access to certain areas to protect those fragile ecosystems.
Yeah, makes sense. Responsible tourism.
You know, keeping those footprints to a minimum.
All right, enough about the logistics, though. Let's talk about what makes White Sands so special.
Yeah.
All the sources are buzzing about the visual impact of White Sands. Words like glistening, dazzling, even extraterrestrial are used to describe it.
It really is something else.
It must be pretty spectacular.
Those descriptions aren't exaggerating. Imagine tiny crystals of gypsum sparkling under the sun.
So it's not just regular sand?
Nope, gypsum's a mineral, kind of like a cousin to the quartz sand you find on most beaches.
Okay.
But unlike quartz, gypsum doesn't absorb heat.
Oh, wow.
That's why white sand stays remarkably cool even under that scorching New Mexican sun.
And this coolness factor explains why everyone keeps saying it looks like snow, but it isn't, right?
Exactly, it's that pristine white landscape that fools the eye.
Okay.
But unlike snow, you won't be freezing your toes off here.
I gotta mention Mike's road trip video. It's hilarious.
Yeah, he's a funny guy.
Even H.U. was blown away by how white the sand appears on camera.
It's brighter than you'd expect.
Yeah, he was practically blinded by his own white sunglasses.
You'll definitely want to pack sunglasses,
Right.
and not just for fashion.
Right.
It's about protecting your eyes from that powerful sunlight reflecting off those dunes.
Sunglasses. Check. What really blew my mind, though, was the fact that these dunes are constantly on the move.
Oh yeah. New Mexico tourism says some shift up to 30 feet per year.
Imagine that.
That's like a whole new landscape every time you visit.
It is.
Wow.
It's like the wind is an artist, constantly sculpting and reshaping the dunes.
Okay, I'm officially daydreaming about those otherworldly landscapes now.
Easy to do.
But before I get lost in the dunes,
Oh.
let's get down to the nitty-gritty of planning this trip.
Sounds like a plan.
How do you even get to this magical land of white sand?
The most common route is U.S. Highway 70,
Okay.
which runs between the towns of Alamogordo and Las Cruces.
And how much will it cost me to step foot in this natural wonder?
It's subject to the standard national park entrance fees.
Okay.
However, if you're a park enthusiast
Mhm.
planning on visiting multiple parks this year, the annual pass is a steal.
Got it.
So,
So we've got location and costs covered. Now let's talk about the best time to visit.
sure.
Because let's be real, I'm not exactly built for extreme temperatures.
Summers in the desert can be brutal.
Oh, yeah.
And White Sands is no exception. Yeah, I've seen those warnings in a bunch of the YouTube videos.
But not exaggerating.
People practically begging viewers to pack extra water.
Staying hydrated in that environment is crucial.
Right.
Dehydration can sneak up on you faster than you think. It's no joke in the desert.
Duly noted, water. Check.
Packing those extra water bottles is a lifesaver.
But it's not all sunshine and heat, right? I remember reading something about monsoon season.
Right, summer brings those intense afternoon thunderstorms. And with them comes the risk of lightning.
Makes sense, safety first. Always.
Always check the forecast and be prepared to adjust your plans if a storm rolls in.
And speaking of things that could derail my dune-filled dreams, what about those infamous sandstorms?
Ah, yes. The winds of white sands.
Oh, boy.
They can whip up some serious sandstorms, especially in the spring.
Oh, wow.
I remember Live That Adventure mentioning near whiteout conditions with winds over 25-mile free.
Yikes. So we've covered getting there, the costs, some seasonal hazards.
Right.
Now let's talk about the fun stuff. Once I'm in the park, what adventures await?
Oh, there's a lot more to white sands than meets the eye.
Okay.
We'll dive into all the different ways you can experience this incredible park, from easy trails to heart-pumping hikes, and even a chance to walk in the footsteps of Ice Age giants.
Wow.
Stay tuned.
All right, let's talk about the fun stuff.
The adventures.
The adventures that await at White Sands.
Yeah.
We've got hiking, we've got sledding.
You heard that right?
What?
Sledding down those white gypsum dunes is a must-do.
Yeah.
It's not your typical snowy slope, but trust me, it's a blast.
I'm picturing a scene straight out of a movie, gliding down these pristine white hills.
It's quite a sight.
Where do I even begin?
First off, you'll need a sled.
Oh.
The park's gift shop sells them. But Dan Trex,
Oh,
the
yeah.
YouTuber you mentioned, he had a great tip. He recommends buying a used sled at the visitor center.
Okay.
They have a whole program where you can buy used and then sell it back for half price when you're done.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, saves money and reduces waste.
I'm all about that sustainable fun.
And don't forget the wax.
Okay.
It's essential for a smooth, fast ride down those dunes.
Wax. Check. But before I launch myself down a mountain of sand, what about exploring those dunes on foot?
Hiking's a fantastic way to experience the vastness and beauty of white sands.
Okay.
They've got trails for everyone, from easy strolls to more challenging tracks.
I'm intrigued. What are some of the trails you came across in your research?
Well, if you're looking for something easy and accessible, the Interdune Boardwalk is a great option.
Yeah.
It's a short paved loop that winds through the heart of the dunes, perfect for families or anyone who wants a taste of the landscape without too much exertion.
Perfect for someone like me who enjoys a leisurely stroll with a side of breathtaking views.
It's a beautiful walk.
What about something a bit more, shall we say, adventurous?
For those seeking a challenge, the Alkali Flat Trail is a must-do.
Okay.
It's a 5-mile loop that takes you deeper into the dune field, away from the crowds.
5 miles through a sea of white sand.
It's quite a trek.
That sounds pretty epic. What makes this trail so special?
Well, besides the stunning scenery, the Alkali Flat Trail also offers a glimpse into the park's unique ecosystem.
I see.
You'll see plants and animals that have adapted to this harsh desert environment, like the bleached earless lizard, perfectly camouflaged against the white sand.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And speaking of blending in, or rather standing out, what about those fossilized footprints?
Oh, absolutely.
That's got to be one of the most incredible things about white sands, right?
It's mind-blowing to think that you're walking in the footsteps of ancient humans and Ice Age creatures.
Yeah.
Thousands of years ago, this landscape was home to mammoths, giant sloths, even saber-toothed cats.
Wow.
Imagine those creatures roaming these dunes.
Yeah.
It sends chills down your spine, doesn't it?
It totally does. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It really adds a whole other dimension to the experience, knowing that you're walking through a living museum of natural history.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that this landscape has a story to tell, a story that stretches back thousands of years. It's a story of adaptation, survival, and the incredible power of nature to shape our world.
All right, I'm sold. Hiking and footprint spotting are definitely on my to-do list.
Yeah.
But I have to ask about something that piqued my curiosity. Backcountry camping.
Oh, yeah.
Spending the night under the stars, surrounded by those glowing white dunes, it sounds magical.
It does, doesn't it? But before you pack your tent, there are a few things to keep in mind.
Oh, okay.
Backcountry camping at White Sands is a truly unique experience, but it's not for the faint of heart.
Okay, what do you mean?
Well, first off, it's primitive camping.
Okay.
We're talking no running water, no electricity, no restrooms.
Yeah.
You need to be completely self-sufficient and pack in everything you need.
Oh, wow.
It's all about connecting with nature on its own terms.
So definitely not your average glamping experience.
Right, definitely not.
What else should I know?
It's important to know that backcountry camping at White Sands is permit only, and those permits are like gold dust.
Oh, really?
Only 10 sites are available, and demand is high.
10 sites for a whole national park.
So if you're serious about this, planning ahead is key. You'll need to apply for a permit well in advance and be prepared to be flexible with your dates.
Wow, talk about exclusive. And there's a catch, isn't there?
Unfortunately, yes. Several sources mention that backcountry camping is currently closed
Oh, no.
for site rehabilitation. They're working hard to protect the fragile ecosystem and ensure sustainable access for future campers.
Maybe it's for the best. Gives me more time to brush up on my desert survival skills. But speaking of venturing beyond the dunes, what about those nearby towns I keep hearing about?
Alamogordo and Cloudcroft.
Yeah.
They offer a nice contrast to the stark beauty of the dunes, each with its own distinct charm.
Alamogordo first. What caught your attention about this town?
Well, for one, it's home to the New Mexico Museum of Space History.
Oh.
Given the state's close ties to the space program, that seems like a must-visit for anyone with even a passing interest in all things celestial.
Totally. And then there's the, wait for it, world's largest pistachio.
You're kidding.
Located at McGinn's Pistachio Tree Ranch, apparently. Talk about a quirky roadside attraction.
I'll have to take your word for it on that one.
Sounds like a fun little detour, especially if you're a pistachio fan like me. But let's shift gears and head to the mountains.
Yeah, Cloudcroft seems like a welcome escape from the desert heat.
What's the draw of Cloudcroft?
Well, besides the cooler temperatures and stunning mountain scenery,
Okay.
Cloudcroft is known for its hiking trails, charming shops, and surprisingly good food and craft beer scene.
Okay, now you're talking my language. Hiking, craft beer, what more could you ask for? Any specific spots we should check out?
Dan Trex, highly recommended Cloudcroft Brewing Company.
Okay.
He raved about their locally sourced ingredients and unique brews.
So we've got culture, nature, and delicious refreshments. Sounds like a winning combo to me. And all within easy driving distance from White Sands. You could easily spend a few days exploring the park and then head out for a completely different experience in the mountains. It's like getting 2 vacations in one.
Exactly, and that's the beauty of exploring New Mexico.
Right.
You've got such a diverse range of landscapes and experiences, all within a relatively short distance.
All right, I think we've covered all the bases here.
I think so.
From sledding down gypsum dunes to exploring quirky roadside attractions, we've given our listener a pretty solid itinerary.
We have?
And most importantly, we've armed them with the knowledge to plan a truly unforgettable trip to White Sands and beyond.
Speaking of unforgettable, I have one more thing.
Okay.
Remember those fossilized footprints we were talking about?
Oh yeah, they really stuck with me.
Me too. It's humbling to think about the vastness of time and the creatures that walked this land long before us.
Exactly, and it's not just ancient history that's present at White Sands.
Oh, right.
There's also a more recent and somewhat controversial chapter to the park's story. Its connection to the White Sands Missile Range.
Right. It's a reminder that even in the most pristine and seemingly untouched landscapes, human influence is never far away.
Yeah, it raises questions about our relationship with the natural world and the impact we have on the environment.
It's a complex and fascinating topic, for sure.
I think it's important to acknowledge this aspect of the park's history.
I agree. It adds another layer to the White Sands experience, one that encourages us to think critically about the past, present, and future of this incredible landscape.
Well said. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a thought-provoking question.
Go for it.
As you stand in the midst of those dazzling white dunes, surrounded by evidence of ancient life and the echoes of human ingenuity, what will your White Sands story be?
That's a great question to ponder.
Because White Sands is more than just a destination, it's a place where history, science, and natural wonder collide. It's a place that invites you to reflect, to explore, and to discover something new about yourself and the world around you.
And who knows, maybe you'll even make a discovery of your own. Those dunes are constantly shifting, revealing new secrets with every gust of wind.
So to our listener, as you head out to explore the glistening expanse of White Sands National Park, remember, pack those sunglasses, bring plenty of water, and don't forget your sense of adventure.
Happy trails.
Welcome back to our deep dive into White Sands National Park. Before the break, we were talking about the park's connection to the White Sands Missile Range,
Right.
and how it adds another layer to the visitor experience. But now I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier,
Okay.
the sheer beauty of this place, especially at sunset.
Ah, sunset at White Sands.
The sources were gushing about the sunset views.
Yeah, it's really something else.
Dan Trex in particular was adamant about catching the sunset.
He's all about those golden hour shots.
He recommended getting to your viewing spot like an hour before sunset
Oh, wow.
to fully appreciate those changing colors.
You want to give yourself time to soak it all in. As the sun dips below the horizon, the sky erupts in a symphony of colors, casting long, dramatic shadows across the dunes.
He described it as a fiery sky with amazing shadows across the dunes.
It's like watching a painting come to life.
And apparently, the Sunset Stroll parking area is the prime location for this spectacle.
It's a great spot.
Okay.
You get those panoramic views of the dune field without having to hike too far.
Right?
Plus, it's close enough to the entrance that you won't get locked in after the park closes.
Which, by the way, is something to keep in mind. White Sands isn't open 24/7 like some other national parks.
No, it's not.
The gates close shortly after sunset.
That's right. And honestly, it's probably for the best. It helps protect that fragile ecosystem and preserves the pristine beauty of those dunes.
Yeah.
Besides, I can only imagine how disorienting it would be to navigate that white landscape in the dark.
Yeah, not something I'd want to try. It's easy enough to get turned around during the day with everything looking so similar.
That reminds me of another important tip from the sources.
Okay.
Several of them, especially Live That Adventure, stress the importance of bringing a compass and a map.
Really? Even for day hikes?
Even for day hikes.
Why is that? I mean, it's not like we're talking about a dense forest here.
You'd be surprised. The constantly shifting dunes can make it difficult to keep your bearings.
Oh, okay.
What looks like a familiar landmark 1 minute can be completely different. The next, plus GPS, can be unreliable out there.
Interesting. So, a compass and map are essential.
Yeah.
Even if you think you're just doing a short, easy trail.
Exactly. It's always better to be prepared.
Safety first. Always good advice. But I think we've covered just about everything, right? From the science of gypsum to the thrill of sledding down sand dunes.
Yeah, I think so.
We've given our listener a pretty comprehensive guide to White Sands National Park.
I'd say you've done our due diligence.
They're armed with the knowledge. Now it's time for them to experience the magic of White Sands for themselves.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe they'll even stumble upon a few new discoveries of their own. After all, those dunes are constantly changing, revealing new secrets with every gust of wind.
That's the beauty of exploration.
It is.
Being open to the unexpected, to those moments of awe and wonder that you can only find when you venture beyond the familiar.
Beautifully said.
So to our listener, as you head out to explore the glistening expanse of White Sands National Park, remember, pack those sunglasses, bring plenty of water, don't forget your compass and map,
Right.
and most importantly, embrace the spirit of adventure.
Happy trails.
And that wraps up our deep dive into White Sands National Park. We'll be back next week with a brand new topic and a fresh stack of sources. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.